two, one.
Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on May 21st, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and this is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies I personally utilize to guide virtually every movement I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Nathan, you are in with the gold tonight. Welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Lord knows you're usually busy, but I'm very happy you drop in. Now, we are looking at leadership and creativity. Now remember, leadership and image, they go kind of hand in hand because whatever you're doing to lead other people, how you treat other people is going to have a direct impact on the way that you do things, on the way people see you, on the way they react. So it really boils down to, are you striving to lead people to help them? To say, hey, you're making some miscalculations. Or is your choice or your situation of becoming a leader, is it so that other people will give you a pat in the back and say, hey, well done. Joe, you are in with the silver. How you doing? Glad you could join us. And I know things are hectic down there. Hopefully they will stay maintained in the cemetery. But honestly, very few entities actually leave their home in this case. Now, newsflash for you, which really doesn't matter to most people, but this neat little coffee cup of mine, there's actually a little more coffee up front. I've almost gone through a full carafe today, but the reality is I slept part of the day or wasn't home. Now, when it comes to where is what I require, of course I don't have it. Actually, I do have it, but get this out of the way. I'm a very firm believer that when you're looking at creating that image that you desire other people to look at, to other people to follow, so that you become, well, let's put it this way, and we'll back that up a fraction. When you're dealing with leadership, you've got to take into consideration the image that you're portraying. So here's the question to ask yourself. When you look at your behavior, that's one aspect of your image. Your physical appearance and your dress code. Okay. Now, for instance, if I'm running a business, which by the way I am, traditional thinking says get into a dress shirt. We have Renee Andrews. You are in with the bronze. Welcome aboard, Renee. I trust things are going well on your end. Now, you take a look at a few things. Your image, when the image that you've got, which is appearance, physical dress, like your physical shape, your dress code, and your treatment of others. These are three components, and you'll notice there's that 3 in there again. Okay, so you go back to karmic law. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Each of these 3 karmic laws are equally important in everything you're up to. Okay, now, this is kind of like the 3 legs on a 3-legged stool. Each one is equally important. Well, the component parts, and let's just make certain we get that sorted out right. Where, pray tell? Right there. Now, I talk about the list method because I use it. So when we take a look at your leadership and your image, okay, now here's why I'm writing down this little piece. Because the fact is, I've decided I have literally, with a lot of input, okay, from 3 people in particular. Steve, how you doing? You are in with honorable mention. In leadership, yes, leadership is certainly, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it to guide other people, or are you doing it to get a pat on the back? I'm not the one to tell you which is which. This is something you've got to look into the mirror and decide. But along with your leadership qualities is your image. Now, your image, and I'm going to be doing an article on each of these. In all fairness, I don't know if it'll come out in June. It might be, the first one might be in July. I've got to finish June off in the next couple of days. Image has, or rather includes, 3 things. Your physical shape. Okay. Now, for instance, if you're becoming a health consultant, an exercise, if you're going into becoming a personal trainer, let me ask you this. If you're striving to be a personal trainer, are you going to pay attention to a personal trainer that is 70 pounds overweight? Or are you going to take a look at one, are you going to look at it to start with as, oh, there's a guy that is cut really well. Physically, he's in good shape, or she's in good shape. Which one's going to catch your attention first? So your physical appearance, your physical health is absolutely imperative. Okay. Now, I'm not a physical trainer. Okay. I'm not wearing the clothing I'm wearing because I want you to see, oh, look, I've got scrawny arms, or I've got big muscles. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm covering my body up, and it works for me. But you take a look at your physical appearance, okay, and you look at somebody. If you're looking at whatever it is, if it's physical training, if it's a personal trainer, you've got to be in functionally physical health. But that's only one aspect. If you're an interior designer, do not live in a hovel. Take care of your home as well. So you've got, quite literally, your dress, the way you carry yourself. And by the way, I did say your dress. Understand, there is not a snowball's prayer in heck that I am ever going to wear a dress for anybody. Just not going to happen. But you look at what you're wearing. Make sure this reflects what you feel is the image you're striving to portray. Okay, then you have your reputation. The way you treat other people is going to have a direct impact on whether they turn to you. Now, understand, I saw this put in one day in hospitality. Well, in business, there were 3 rules that were put out. This one company had a beautiful sign on their wall. There's 3 options. Okay. Good service, fast, or rather, quality service, fast service, quality work. Okay. Pick 2. You can have really friendly staff with really low price. Sorry, I did that completely wrong, so scratch that. Good prices, good service, good work. Pick 2. Okay. The point being that if you've got good service, this is great. But if you want good, fast service, you're going to pay higher prices. If you want low prices and good service, the quality of the work, of the merchandise, may be lower. Okay, same thing applies with your leadership image. Do you desire the person to have a good reputation? In other words, treat people properly. Do you want them to dress the best they can? And do you care what they look like? Pick two that are important. Okay, the other one's likely to suffer a little. In my case, I'm striving to bring all three of them up, primarily because I look at it going, if you're running a business, if you're becoming a leader, having all three continually climbing, you just get a taller stool. Okay, I'm not good with the pedestal thing. I'm really not. But I have, as was pointed out to me, I've had to come to the realization that if you're a leader, whether it's by choice or by design, you still are a leader. Now you got to work with it. Okay. Just making notes because these are things I've got to get written in order to put them out. Now, let's start with the creative side. Let's take this to a whole new level. Okay. Or let's break it down to the baseline. Start with this. Okay. Look at the easiest thing to change. Maybe I should think first. What do you think? Castle Dude, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hope things are going well on your end. You know, when I look at it, I look at leadership and go, okay, I desire personally to be the best I can be, not to be the best I can be for you or the best I can be for somebody else. In my case, Council, I am doing better than I have in a very long time. In this case, it may be safe to say centuries. But then I remember my past lives. And yes, I'm currently documenting more of them. Now, let me ask you this. There's an idea that the way your house looks or the way you look is a reflection of your mind. Now, if this is the case, then does it not stand to reason that the way your mind is working is a reflection of the state of your house? Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah. Now I got, Memorial Day. That is July 4th, is it not? Or is it July 1st down there? I know you guys get July 4th and we get ours on July 1st or vice versa. I never can keep them straight. I figure where it comes to holidays, I remember two of them. Now I'll remember a third, but that one's not stacked. You know, but I remember Christmas and I remember Halloween. And that's pretty much where it ends. The rest of them I tend to overlook. But I look at it this way. The clutter is going, as you've seen. I was trying to do this before, but I ran out of time. Because here's the neat thing. This is simply the box that I keep all my bookmarks in, business cards. But as of today, and I know some of you guys know this, like I said, if you're going to be a leader, when you say you're going to do something, do it, if it's at all possible. So this neat little book, this one called Magic by Aleister Crowley, The Theory and Practice. This book, I'm done with it, and I told LA she can have it when I'm done. It is now literally being packed. It's going at the end of August. That trip is booked and paid for. So, what it means is, again, we decided we were going. We decided it was going to happen. And I told you guys it was going to happen, so this is a long time heads up. Okay. But August 13th to August 17th, we will not be running a stream. That will be an absolute shutdown for 2 weeks. Where'd it go? We will be shut down for 2 weeks. Simply because of the fact that, well, I'm taking a holiday. And who knows, I may end up managing to do that once a year. I haven't figured that one out yet. But that book is now in my luggage, ready to go. Uh-oh, what do we got here? Uh-oh. Wow, that's a pain in the butt. Hopefully they'll manage to deal with that one right. I do feel for you, Castle, and don't take this the wrong way, but definitely, much as I feel for you, and I wish you all the best with it. And when I talked about this the other day about distance healing. Okay, absolutely. Know that my thoughts are on your getting past the pain, but ultimately, it's going to boil down to the combined effort of a lot of people and your own belief that the pain will subside in a hurry. But when you are looking at leadership, okay, understand it's imperative you get an idea of what it means to you. Now, I'm getting the clutter out of my way. This is being packed up and gone. Now it's time to start doing the rest of it. But understand, it boils down to desire, and that's going to be a problem. So we're going to do this. We've already determined a while back that my getting too close to the computer gets to be a scrambled job. You should have seen the problem the poor travel agent had today while we were trying to get things sorted out. But, before I go any further, complete sidetrack. Okay, nobody in this chat room right now that I'm aware of is going to falls under this at all. But I have recently had a discussion with Storm, and here's the way this goes. If somebody comes in with if you choose to come into the chat room with a questionable name, questionable moniker, okay, understand, and I have full authority to ask you to politely ask you to change the name once. After that, it's up to them. Okay, and that is, in other words, if you choose to come in with a name that is clearly, and I'm going to put the term simple, if it is clearly pornographic or insulting, they have my full authority to ask you to change it. Okay, if you change it, there's no harm done. And this is before anything happens. If you argue the point, I've already told them, cut them loose. Pop them out of the building. I'm not worried about it. The reality of it is this. If it's going to make Storm and LA's job easier to keep this stream running smoothly so we don't run into problems with YouTube itself, and in my opinion, much more importantly, I don't end up with a heart attack due to stress, I don't want to know about it. I want to know about it, but after the fact. And therefore, if this happens to you, okay, if it happens to you, and this is realistically, this is more for people that are listening afterwards. Most of the ones in the room right now, it won't apply to. But if it happens to you and you find yourself standing outside, looking in and not able to communicate, don't drop me a line. Don't bother dropping me a line and going, oh, I got banned. Can you change it? Well, the reality is, yes. I can change it. The real pertinent question is going to be, will you change it? And the answer to that is no. Why would I possibly change it? Okay, so I take this back to my dad. My dad was, my mom and parent and dad were both leaders, and they had a solution. Inside the house, mom was the boss. Outside the house, dad was. Okay, where it comes to content of the stream, I'm the boss. Where it comes to security of the stream, Storm and LA are the boss. And here's the way mom and dad did it. Just like all kids, we used to push the button. We'd be outside, for instance, and go, Mom, can I do this? And my mom would go, well, did you ask Dad? And if we said, yeah, but he said no, and we just want to know if we could do it, she'd look at us and go, well, what are you asking me for? Or if we said, no, we haven't asked Dad, Mom would go, well, go ask your dad. The same thing applies here. Where it comes to topics, absolutely, and I'm open to a wide array of them. Okay, where it comes to security, LA and Storm have dominant control over that. The reality is, and I don't worry about this at all, if I have a problem with those two, my only functional recourse is to shut the stream down. Fortunately, it's actually relatively simple from my end. But from their end, I don't worry about them doing that. So they've got carte blanche. Okay. So don't worry too much about taking me off, because that's probably relatively easy. Storm and LA are very even-tempered. That sounded bad for a moment there. What do we got? Gotta move the hand. Oh, there we go. LA is going, YouTube is quite particular about it. And frankly, we've found obscene names accompany problem children. Absolutely agree. And I'm not going to go into that any further. There it is for you, black and white. And this is exactly why LA's interaction here is precisely why I've got Storm and LA dealing with it. So I don't have to worry about it. And if you ask me how they managed to know who's a problem child, hey, I definitely don't know that one. One of the neat little things that I find with creative leadership, take a look in the mirror. What do you desire to be remembered like? Do you desire the people that know you, the people that meet you, do you desire them to look at you and go, oh my gosh, she's such a creep, or she's such a, such a witch? I don't personally like Dog. No, I do. Stop that for a second. Dogface, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I personally don't like the idea of people getting called a specific name, as in this idea of, oh, that's a Karen. Sorry, I've seen Barbaras that are absolute doorknobs. I'm not going to bother. I tolerate it. People want to call somebody a Karen, I know what it is. But I'm not going to bother looking at it and going, that's a Karen. No, that's an idiot. Certainly. That's a child. Absolutely. But when you look at leadership, okay, what kind of image do you desire to put out, to present to people? Now, physically speaking, when I look at my physical health, okay, I'm not going to worry about my hair color, my hairstyle. This is it. This is the way it's been for 30 years. It's staying that way, as far as it just being pushed back. Now, I've been told I should part it on the left and look more, professional. I've been told this. I looked at him and went, yeah, I probably could. So here's what I am looking at. I am looking at upgrading my wardrobe. But it happens to be on the wardrobe I'll deal with in a little bit. Physically, I am now in better shape than I was 30 years ago. Did I go on some sort of massive crash diet? No, I did the only thing that seemed to work for me. Okay, Reno was beautiful, and Dogface. Aside from the actual travel time was a nightmare. But to give you an idea of how good that trip went, I spent a week down there with my other half. At the end of August, I'm going to spend a couple of weeks with her in her own town. Okay. So, well, close to it anyway. But I knew this trip was going to do one of two things. It was either going to lock the relationship in stable or it was going to blow it right out of the water. Well, I went down. It went fabulous in my eyes. And the fact she's still talking to me today says it didn't go bad in hers. What did I do? Oh, I put it over there. Sure, put my coffee down and forget where I put it. Now, I have decided where it comes to my physical health, I am still dropping weight, but that is very intentional. Whoa, how you doing? Glad you could join us. That cannot be normal. You know, see, something like that always catches my attention, but I'm looking at my physical health going, I desire to be in better shape. My teeth, I finally got the answer to. So I am still working. I'm still working on my eyes, on my physical body. My weight is coming down. Oh, thanks, Ellie. I appreciate that. I don't see woo as being a problem. Problem child on occasion, but that's another issue. But no, I kind of hope that was just a glitch. They happen. But I am now in better physical shape than I was 30 years ago. As of this morning, I was down. Where am I here? Remember, I mentioned I was going to be dropping my weight. As of this morning, I was down to 188.2. Now, that's lighter than I have been in over 30 years. Okay, so I've got that coming down. My strength in my arms is climbing, and I'm finally able to do sit-ups, which I haven't been able to do since I was in high school. But I'm doing all of this for my physical appearance, for my physical health, but I'm doing it because of me. You know, I was out today. Ironically enough, I spent, 3.5 hours out walking. I was walking without any problem. Had the cane with me just because I didn't feel like falling on the floor. Problem was, I went into a travel agent, put the cane down, just about walked out without it. You know, the neat part about it is physically, I'm correcting my health, diet, and physical appearance and my level of strength, that sort of thing, strength, flexibility. I'm doing it because I desire it. Now, yes, it may benefit other people, but understand, I'm not doing it because I'm a personal trainer. Not at all. I will tell you if asked or if it comes up what I did to make it happen. Weight is one of these things that people absolutely seem to have a disaster of a problem with. Okay, the biggest problem with weight is we're told consistently by advertisements, by doctors, in order to drop weight, first of all, you've got to take a pill. I'm going to give you a newsflash. First-hand information. I learned this by doing it. If you, or more to the point, when you put less food into your body, less calories into your body than you burn, you will drop weight. Okay, it's just that simple. Now, it boils down to, you'll notice, I don't use the term lose because people are taught by experience, by direct teaching, that if you lose something, you got to go out and find it. The problem is, with weight, it seems to come back with company. Up, miss somebody. Fast, how you doing? Trust me, I appreciate that there fast. The reality of it is I don't have the coordination or the speed. And fortunately, I don't have a problem with boxing. I actually asked somebody one day, I asked a 12-year-old because he got into boxing. I looked at him and I said, I gotta ask, why would you deliberately get into a sport where you know they're going to try and beat the heck out of you? And the kid gave me the most intelligent answer I'd ever heard from anybody. Okay. What he said, instead of going, oh, I want to get stronger, I want to get faster. He literally looked at me and he goes, I know I've got a temper problem. Okay, I know that's a problem. And when I get into a bad mood, I can go down to the gym, I can get into a boxing ring, and the guy that gets in there with me knows I'm going to try and beat the heck out of him. I looked at him and I says, that is so much more intelligent in my eyes than I was trying to pick up the pen. I was trying to pick up my reflexes. I want to prove I'm tougher. He simply wanted to stop beating up on innocent people when his temper blew. I had a client that didn't do that and ended up beating a man to death. Had he gone into boxing, maybe he would have had better control. But where it comes to my physical appearance, yes, and I'm not going to show it to you right now. Just don't get your shirt in a knot. Okay, I am going to eventually work down to having a washboard down here instead of a wash basket. But my abdomen used to look like a basketball. Literally, you'd go from my chest, you'd go along, and then all of a sudden you do this. Anybody got a physique like that you're actually happy with? Okay, I have now, because I'm under 180, I have now dropped over 60 pounds by simply doing exactly what I suggested you do. If you desire to drop weight for whatever reason, okay, put less calories into your body than what you're burning. Now, there are all kinds of health things that you can do in the way of natural foods, natural spices. I will tell you, I'm not the one to talk to. I can tell you what I do. I'm not the one to give you all the details on it. Okay. There are a few people I know I can point you in the direction of. Right. Or failing that, if you're looking for that kind of information, put the question into the chat room. Any question at all, whatever topic, even if we're not talking about it at the time, put it in the chat room in all caps, all caps preferably, partial caps, or at least a wavy sign so I can actually see what you're up to. Yeah, no doubt there, dog face. I've got that sexy gummy bear physique. I had a gentleman, he was built like a freight train, right? And he was carrying on and going, look at me, I've got all these muscles, I'm so strong, and you guys you're such peons. And he's talking to everybody like this, and I looked at him and I says, and this was before I got in the shape I'm in. I looked at him and I went, I'll have you know I have the body of a god under this shirt. He looked at me because, of course, I kid you not, must have had arms like this. And he says, you have the body of a god? I says, yeah, they call him Buddha. Now, for me, I don't really care about somebody's physique. But if you're not happy with yours, the first thing in leadership is the way you look, the way you physically look, is, whether you like it or not, going to have a direct bearing on the way other people look at you. Okay, and subsequently the way other people talk to you. Now, here's the thing. I'm changing my physique. Right now, no, I'm not in great shape. Okay, but I am getting there. I think it was Joe that sent the comment. He says, I'm not perfect, but I am doing my best. Right. Now, my exercise routine takes me about 5 minutes in the morning. Okay. And the big thing I've done is I've stopped doing one-arm curls, as in grabbing food, stuffing it in my face. I've slowed that down. Okay. I usually eat one meal a day now, but that one meal usually takes me an hour to an hour and a half. Not from 4 o'clock in the morning when I get up until 10 o'clock at night when I go to bed, which is what I was doing. Okay. Your physical appearance is going to have a direct impact on the way people look at you. Okay. And the more overweight you are, whether you like it, whether you're going to look in the mirror and go, I feel great. If you do, this is fantastic. Okay. If you go, I'm feeling great, you might be having a problem that you might be deluding yourself. Just a thought. If you're having trouble breathing, the odds are your weight is not helping. Okay. Now, whether you like the way you look or not, it is not a relevant concern when it comes to the way other people look at you and or treat you. Okay. We are not taught to look at somebody the size of an elephant if they're bipedal and go, hey, they've got a fabulous appearance. Now, let me be clear. There are some cultures around the world where if you weigh over a certain amount, that's when you know you're good looking. Not my cup of tea. I'm not the one to judge. This is why I say, if you're at a weight where your health is not suffering, if you're able to walk around freely, absolutely knock yourself out. Okay, I'm just pointing out that physically speaking, it boils down to other people will respond to your appearance. So now let's go to the creative side of that. Okay, are you content with your weight? If you're content with your physique and what have you, that's no problem. In my case, I've got this neat little image. You know, my hair is pretty much staying the way it is. I'll keep it short. The sideburns are staying. But you'll notice I've still got a little bit here. Not happy with this. This tells me I'm still overweight. Okay. I'm still over what I desire. So I will be getting rid of that. But I'm going to keep dropping weight until I get to what I see as proper weight. I do have an image. And again, hold that thought. This is where this funny thing comes in. Remember what I mentioned about do the things that you feel are necessary. Here's the creative side. Now, creativity is simple. It all starts up here in the etheric plane. Okay. You start your theory, your imagery up here. You bring it down into the material world, either through the mind or the heart first. Then it'll get to the other one. But the kicker is this. When your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. When you think about doing something, you're giving it one level of input. I dropped my pen. As you can see, yeah, I put my pen down, it goes somewhere, and I have no idea where. That's always nice. By the way, my mind is a blank half the day. Okay, it went away, so we go back over here where I keep a collection. Now, this neat little list. Okay, you start off with a thought process. Now, by writing it down, what you're doing is pulling that energy out of the etheric plane into the physical world where it can be made manifest. So, we have the thought. And again, this is just weird the way this is working out. But this is why I changed things on the absolutely dog face. Dog face goes conceive, believe, achieve. Absolutely. You know, so you have the thought. When you write it down, okay, you're giving it physical form. By writing it down, by writing down my my intention on the physical level, okay, it will make it that much easier to attain. Okay, then we have voicing it. Now, talking to yourself is a great idea. I personally recommend, and you'll love this one, I personally recommend talking to yourself out loud in public, primarily because it creates an absolute stir for other people. But when you vocalize it, okay, what you're doing is giving it that third impact. Now, again, we've got this factor of 3, because that 3 points, it applies to creativity, it applies to finances, which starting on Friday we're going to be dealing with head on. Okay. So in my case, and you may not be able to see it, I don't know. Okay. I can tell from my standpoint, but I've got a very little bit of a double chin. Not happy. Okay. So the double chin is going to go. Okay. I'm going to get much better muscle definition in my limbs. To that end, I'm still doing the curls. I'm still doing my leg lifts. Okay. And I've already got muscle definition in them now. Instead of, I know the muscle is there, but I've got this wraparound, this wraparound excess cellulose. I'm not overweight per se, but I don't like the way I look. Okay. I also fully intend on getting, and it's for my own personal outlook, not for the world around me. Okay. But I am going to get my body down to the point where I have muscle definition on my abdomen and chest as well. Again, this is all physical. This is part of the leadership issue. But I've got it written down here, okay, in order to make this happen. Okay. Now, and I encourage you to do the same thing. Take a look in the mirror. Are you happy with the way things are going? Now, here's the neat thing. You'll notice I'm sitting back further from the computer than I was. You'll also possibly notice we're not getting as glitchy, which is neat. Yeah, but unknown caller. Well, I'm glad to hear that, but I don't really care. I always love unknown callers because I don't talk to them. Not on the whole, and it's something I should, but not going to do it right now. Wonder who that is. Well, they didn't laugh. No, I don't. I've got to keep that or this phone I keep open because there are 3 people I will answer to. Okay. But when you look at your creative side, take a look in the mirror. List off what you would like to see when you look back in the mirror. And then start imagining that appearance. I look forward to the day when I can actually look in the mirror and go, this is the appearance I was looking for. The fact that I can do a sit-up, I'm not going to do one for you here. I'm not an expert. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not going to show you how to do it right. Because I don't know if I'm doing it correctly, but I do know I'm doing it consistently. So there we have the start of what you're going through. Okay. Take a look at your physical appearance because that image is what people will respond to first. Let me ask you this, and this applies to guys or girls. Okay. When you look at somebody, if you look at somebody coming down the aisle to sit on a public transit, be it a bus, a train, a subway, a plane, doesn't matter. Which do you look at? In which one do you like the look of better? The one that actually is big enough to sit in 2 seats, or has to turn sideways to go through the door, or the one that has more of a cut form? Which one gets your attention in a better light? When you look at somebody with their hair all tangled and pushed in every direction, does that look professional to you? Does that provide the image that you're looking for? Oh, there we go. Dogface is going, I'm a thigh guy. You should look at some of those. Dogface goes, I'm a thigh guy. I like thighs. You know. Oh, there we are. Joe goes, my hair is growing back thicker. I'm using a special shampoo for that. This is fantastic there. Now, the neat part there, Joe, and we'll start with that. Neat part there is I know that there are special shampoos that work, and clearly that is. I've been told, and I don't know myself, but I've been told my hairline here is starting to go dark again, which is really neat when you think it started going gray when I was 16. But whatever makes you feel better. Okay. Now, the reality is, when I'm looking at people, I look at the eyes. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Even with my other half, and understand my other half happens to be blind, I still look to her eyes first. There we go. Yeah, dog face. My hair only grows upon my face. Upon my face and shoulders. The thing is, wherever it grows, if you're happy with it, there was a saying back in the 70s, God only made a few perfect heads. The rest he covered with hair. You can get it that way, or you can look at it and go, this is me, I'm content, I'm dealing with it. If you're not content with the fact your hair doesn't grow, isn't growing there are ways around it. But you take a look at the physical side first. People will look at you, and they will base their first assessment on you on what you physically look like. Then they'll look at your clothing, or vice versa. The second most important aspect, or the second most invisible, is the way you're dressed. Okay. And again, I have asked for input into various different things regarding coloring and styling. For me, it's simple. Where it comes to the clothing, and bear in mind something very important. Your clothing does not make the person. Okay? If it did, then any industry where you have to wear a specific uniform, like the military or the postal service or the police, okay, any industry where a specific outfit is required, if clothing made the person, that clothing would make everybody act the same way. They do not all act the same way. With that in mind, I gotta ask you, Dogface. Dogface is just going, I do have a big but symmetrical head. At least I wasn't blessed. At least I wasn't blessed with a smashed coconut. Bonus. I gotta ask you one little question though. When you look at do you wear a hat? And if so, what size hat do you wear? This is just a personal curiosity on my part. So absolutely, if you don't feel like answering it, don't. But if clothing were actually to make the person, everybody in the military, on the police force, in a private school, okay, would all behave the same way. Now, I'm laying odds you guys all are fully aware that this is not the case. But the way you feel when you're dressed in a different fashion will have a bearing on how you behave. Okay? In most cases, now there are some of us, I behave the same way whether I'm dressed in dress clothes or upbeat clothing, or I'm dressed in scrubbies. Where are we here? Oh, yeah, absolutely there, Joe. Something I did come to the conclusion of, and this is to all of you out there. Joe's just going, I like these quotes. Please, if you have more, don't be shy. I am making a point of putting these quotes in the Positive Perspectives newsletter. And if you guys have quotes that you feel would be beneficial, absolutely send them my direction. Okay. There are very few that are out there that somebody else hasn't said. So quite often what I'll put is submitted by. Okay. Now, sometimes people will claim a quote to themselves because they may not realize they've said it before. But these quotes are ones that I personally have taken definite notice on. When you look at your clothing, how you dress, and the image you're portraying will have a direct impact. Now, in most cases. Dogface goes, my hats say XXL. It doesn't have a girth. That's okay. I'm going to make you possibly feel a whole lot better. Okay. I don't know what my head circumference is either, but the only hat I have found that I can wear is a 4XL. I can't even get an XXL on my head. It sits on the top of it. So when I tell people, when I tell people I've got a thick skull, I'm not kidding. I've got about 40 pounds of extra bone as near as the doctors could figure. But yeah, my head is a 4XL. Now that's not the biggest. Okay. I know that John Marion Wayne, aka the Duke, used to wear an actual 10-gallon hat. It was funny there, Dogface. When I was working for Dairy Queen, we were in the middle of a rush, and I went around the corner. I was working in the sink, just quickly to get some stuff done up so I could get back to the kitchen. Somebody had opened the door just to the 45-degree angle. I walked into the corner of the door, and all I felt was a change in direction and trajectory. Went around the corner, did my lunch rush. And all of a sudden I get this, from my boss. And so I come into the kitchen. I said, what's the problem? He's standing there with his mouth open, pointing at the door I'd run into. I hit the door. Didn't even split my forehead. But I hit the door, tore the door off the rail, knocked out the side wall and 2 of the shelves. Didn't even break the skin. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, LA. I didn't actually know the man. My father did. But no, mine is literally, as a matter of fact, give me 10 seconds, I'll show you something. Just hold that thought. Rest assured, like I say, clothing does not make the person. But take a look at the size of that as compared to my chest. That's the head size. Okay, and this is why I say, if you think you've got a fat head, try this one. But it's the only hat that I've ever found that I can actually wear. Now, does this make me a cowboy? Not a snowball's prayer. I still don't like horses. I mean, I love to look at the things. But that's what I mean by the clothing doesn't make the person. But Think of the way I look without it. And then take a look at what it looks like if I put the hat on. And then, of course, we remove that. Oddly enough, I can still actually see the computer now. My eyesight is improving that fast. You know, intriguingly enough, this I actually found in a secondhand store. You know, but the reality of it is this: what you wear will affect the way people look at you. Okay. Now, do I desire to get into shape that this actually looks good on me? Right now, it does the job. Does it show muscle? Not my eyes. But I was looking at the screen here that you guys are seeing, and it turns out I've got a little bit of muscle definition now. Yeah, I used to have the same problem there, LA. You know, back in 2007, if I held my glasses that close, I couldn't physically see them. Now I can see all the way across the room, and I noticed the other day I was working on the computer. I could read the whole thing without my glasses. It wasn't crystal clear, but it was getting there. Now, this said, yeah, and Dogface goes, you know, me too. Without glasses, I'm like a baby bird. You know, I still cannot operate in the dark. I can't stand stable in the dark. Of course, I can't stand stable in the light, so that might be part of the problem. Do not tell me. You know, I put a pen down, and sure as shooting, the dang thing goes missing. I'm sitting on. Of course, on a mattress, you actually don't have that big of a problem with sitting on a pen. But I am looking at my clothing, looking at a way to improve it. Now, I have been told that wine color or blues will work nicely. I'm thinking probably what is it called? Navy blue, which is essentially to my eyes pretty much black. I've been told that is probably a little too dark. So I'm thinking more in the lines of your light blue or your royals. The slightly brighter color. But I need something to lighten my personality. I mean, let's face it. There's a lot of things that can be said about me. And some of them are polite. But when you look at the way you're dressed, okay, now I dress primarily the way you see me. Although I am debating getting actual dress pants for the purpose of work. Dress pants as in cotton or something that, well, I shouldn't say cotton, but I don't even know what make it would be classified as, but non-jean anyway. Oh no, the sideburns, they will stay with me until I drop dead in all likelihood. My dad had sideburns. They were less evolved, like less grown out than these are. But he always kept them neat and tidy all the way until the last week of his life. At that point, he was too weak to do anything. And I don't know if he asked for them to be removed or somebody else did. I doubt my mother did. So what I'm writing here is just some of the changes in clothing that I'm going to be working towards as money becomes available. Now, bear in mind, money is not, it is not the be all and end all. It will not bring you happiness. I've seen money actually cause the end of a relationship. Okay. Yeah. Joe goes, my glasses don't make me handsome. I'm just me when I use them, when I wear them. Absolutely. Uh-oh. I've got my cursor in the way. I'll tell you, my eyesight might be improving, but I still don't see through cursors. Yeah. Storm goes, for years, my color palette was burgundy and black. For years, my color, for the first, well, up until 2007, okay, so you go 63 to 03 is 40. So for the first 44 years of my life, in my eyes, my color palette was pretty much gray. Of course, I was colorblind. Okay, I still have been dealing with a lot of dark. Now, this shirt that's got the actual emblem on it, I used to never wear a shirt with anything written on it. Okay, now I've got this one and I've got one. I'm going to be getting others. I have decided to bring a little color into my life. Not because I can see a whole lot of it, but again, the way you dress will have an impact on the way people see you. Now, if you're expecting me to turn around and all of a sudden show up in a suit and tie, expect what you will. But understand, get the image in your own head. Okay, and again, write it down. So, of course, what I'm looking at, I am changing my appearance for my purposes, not for anybody else's, and that is ultimately the key. Yeah, in D&D terms, I actually asked my buddy, right? I asked him, in Storm is going, in D&D terms, I'm lawful chaotic. I follow a strict code, but no one knows what it is. See, I asked a buddy of mine, like my game master, I said, in today's world, what would you call my alignment? He goes, I'd call your alignment lawful and lawful good. I looked at him and I went, what world do you come from where I ever agree with half of the laws that are written? He goes, no. Not their laws, your laws. He says, you've got an extremely strict code that you live by, and you are generally a good person. Yeah. Dogface goes, my color palette is black and white. A panda or a dairy cow. Or if you're in the wrong mood, Dogface, you do realize black and white also applies to a Dalmatian dog and a skunk. So I am looking for input. This is why I talk to people that have a sense of fashion. I told somebody one day, I don't have a sense of fashion. I'm not a fashion statement. The girl right behind me pipes up. She goes, you are so. Not a good one, but you are a statement. So what I'm looking at is changing my appearance. Okay. The reality of it is this. Pick the outfit you like. Okay, what the image you desire to present. Now, I fully intend on improving my wardrobe, but I'm doing it to present one simple thing. I'm progressing to what I see as successful. Clean, neat clothing. Okay, you'll notice I've kept this shaved. I've got to shave again, but I'm not worried about it too much. I'm just not going to let it grow again. That's just my decision for me. Joseph Lorenzen, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, there we go. And Joseph goes, oh, there we are. Yes, absolutely. Black and white definitely brings in penguins. It also includes seagulls. The nice part about it is when you start looking at the way you dress, if you don't believe your clothing will change the way other people treat you, dress in your every day lounge around the house, providing you lounge around the house properly. Okay. Take the clothes you lounge around the house in when you've got company coming over. Okay. Try and walk into a high-class restaurant and see how well they treat you. On the flip side of that, go dress into the best clothes you've got and walk into the same type of restaurant, okay, when you're matching what they call the dress code, and you'll find you get a better treatment. Same thing. I'm looking at changing my wardrobe, so I look in the mirror and I can go, now I'm starting to look like I've actually pulled it together. Right now, I still feel like I look like a dog's breakfast. Not quite that bad anymore, but that's where it was. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Where are we here? We are at the point where so again, we have this physical appearance. The way you're dressed, what you're wearing, will have a direct impact on the way other people see you. It will absolutely, and you don't have to take my word for it. Do it as a social experiment for yourself. Change the way you're dressing and the clothes you're wearing. Okay, and you'll find people treat you differently. You'll never see this one because I'm not going to do it. But picture, if you will, looking the way I do, leaving everything from here up, and put on a ball gown. Can you picture what people would think about the way I look? Or the way that they thought about me? Or for that matter, the way you thought about me? I'm not about to. Okay. I'm also not about to sit here and wear a half top, a half tank. What do we got here? Yeah. And Dogface goes, owning a chicken would really teach self-control. Either that or provide a quick meal. When I was growing up, we had 40 chickens. One of our chickens, the rooster, was a 4-foot rooster. No, sorry. I guess he was probably about 2.5, maybe 3 feet. But it was a solid white rooster with 4-inch spikes. Ellie goes, I don't know. I never found a difference in mine owning a chicken. My attitude was always the same. Ellie goes, yeah. Chickens were named breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I've got a friend who named his one cow Hamburger. Honestly, though, Joe, I really don't. I think I've heard the name before, but I don't honestly know who Alex Pine is, and at least not by conscious recollection. But with that in mind, what about him? So we've looked at the clothing, we've looked at your physique. Now, here's the one nobody gets to see until you open your mouth. Okay, and that is your attitude. Okay, the way you talk to other people, the way you interact. And this includes not only your pronunciation, but your enunciation and your diction. The way you speak, whether you like it or not, is not my concern. The way you speak will have a direct impact on the way people look at you and the way they pay attention. Okay, the way you treat other people will have a direct impact on how you are perceived in public. And I've seen people's attitude, public displays destroy businesses, destroy reputations. Okay, this is just the way it is. Dogface, you're Australian. Let's face it. You guys should really be one of the you are one of the countries when you take a look at what your country ancestry is. You guys should be standing head and shoulders above each other going, dang it, look what we built. Okay, you guys, your ancestors, according to the English, and I believe the Dutch and probably a few others, you guys were your ancestors were what they considered the dregs of society. And yet, you guys, many of the Australians I've personally met, and personally, I like the accent. I have trouble separating Australian, New Zealand, and English accent-wise. But I will tell you, every Australian I've ever met has always had they've always had a real neat air about them. The only pop artist I ever listened to that I would have actually paid money to go and listen to was Australian. And at least I think she was Australian. And that was Olivia Newton-John. Now, I'm pretty certain she was an Aussie. And for pity's sakes, if she wasn't, correct me. Doesn't change what I thought of her. What have we got here? Joe goes, I've been watching InfoWars on Rumble Live 24/7 every morning instead of to the news. Absolutely. Now, the thing is, I haven't watched Rumble Live at all. Okay. But I will tell you this. The news itself, if you're looking to get depressed, if you're looking to find a way to be disappointed in people, absolutely pick up the news. Pick up the newspaper. Listen to so many different viable options. There's all kinds of ways of getting more depressed and more disappointed in people. There we are. Well, here we are. Dogface goes, easy way to separate us is the Kiwis are like a younger brother, and the English are the older brother. We all forget about it at Christmas. Canada is the brother we never knew we had. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's kind of a funny way of looking at it, but quite accurate. One day I do intend on getting to Australia, but you can bet your bottom dollar when I do that, I'm going to be bringing my other half with me. Oh, there we go. Oh, Olivia, thank you very much there, LA. I've always liked your accent, but, whether, where she came from wasn't really a going concern. Where I'm going to is, because this young lass on my coffee cup, she drank all my coffee again. I'll be right back. As we know, coffee is a firm requirement. Okay, well, that was bad. Coffee is definitely a requirement in my eyes. But when you take a look, where are we here? Whoops. Can't quite read that all the time. Yeah, this is about the time you do that. Well, he does, but in all fairness, LA, the reality is I can relate to his sense of humor quite nicely. I have a twisted one where it comes to certain things. Now, the thing we have to remember, attitude, the way you treat other people is going to have a direct impact on whether people look forward to you walking through the door or whether they cringe and hide. With that in mind, I take a look at the world and go, okay, when you're treating other people, absolutely, karmic law number 2 is critical. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay, there is no question. If you walk down the street and you make derogatory comments to strangers walking by because of the way they're dressed or because of the way that they're the way they look, absolutely, people are going to get word, whether you're doing it, whether you're intentionally drawing attention to yourself or not. People are going to catch wind of it. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. But I touched on this the other day, and it still bothers me. What do we got? Well, Joe goes, this is going to sound silly, but do our washers and dryers monitor what we're doing every time we do laundry? That depends. Do you have one of these modern washers or dryers that are all full of data chips? Okay. If you do, the odds are that information is being recorded and being broadcast. Now, call me paranoid. I've been called a lot worse. Okay, if you've got a modern computerized washer, dryer, microwave, fridge, stove, you can bet your bottom dollar it's being tracked. If you are hooked up to, I think it's Siri or any number, I think Google or any number of different AI systems where you walk into the room and go, do this, you can bet your bottom dollar it's being tracked. And here's why. If it's running on Wi-Fi, it is taking that voice print, running it through a central computer, tracking it all, and then sending back the appropriate response. Okay, now I'm waiting for somebody to turn around and reprogram a Siri. So you go, where you go, Siri or Google or whatever. What's the temperature outside? And have the thing come back and tell you it's time for you to get off your tail and go outside and see if it's cold. Get them to bring in a little bit of a different approach. Dogface goes, my washer is so old. My mom remarked that hers tell her how the washing has left yesterday, and I was shocked. I just tell how long mine has left by how much the thing is shaking. The first washer and dryer I had was a washer ring dryer. Now, if you don't know what that is, it just means you're not old enough. But yeah, if it is a modern computer, a modern cell phone, a modern appliance that literally is voice activated or connected to Wi-Fi, you can bet your bottom dollar it's tracked. And it does mean that whatever you're doing, the neat thing is this funny little cell phone. You're chipped if you've got one. Okay, I will tell you, whatever you're taking pictures of is being recorded by modern tech. It's absolutely being recorded. Okay, so if you're going to put it on this thing, understand that it's going to get recorded. Okay, but here's the thing. How you behave in public without all the recording devices, that is how your reputation is going to really be affected. Okay, that is the image people are really going to notice. You can be dressed to the absolute nines, be physically an absolutely perfect specimen, but the moment you open your mouth and are derogatory to anybody, your reputation is going to go through the floor. You know, I watched a few people in the last couple of weeks that were up and coming icons. They were business people. Okay. And the way they treated people, my outlook was, how can you be that shallow and that apparently successful at the same time? In my eyes, they're not successful at this point. Yes, they are leaders in their industries or they are leaders in their communities, but not in a good way. If this is the image you're putting out, okay, you might want to double check. Now, absolutely, I will tell somebody they're being a dipstick, whether they are living on the street, whether they are running for office, whether they run a major business, are multi-property owners. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, heck, Dan, you can do what you will with this one. The day I met the one you call God, okay, I showed up on the beach. I showed up on this golden beach. Who do we got here? Yeah. You know, I showed up on this golden beach, and this form just kind of coalesced over on the stone. And all I heard was this neat little, "You don't belong here yet." I said, "Well, the door was open." He goes, "No, it wasn't." And we went back and forth a number of times with it was open. No, it wasn't. The door was open when I came through it. It was not open. And then he finally clued in. He looks at me and he goes, "You opened the door." I said, "Of course I opened the door, but it was open when I came through it. I never lied about it." Okay. Now this is to the one you guys call God, the creator of all things, as many of you, myself included, believe. Okay. I'm a firm believer in God. There's no question there. I'm not going to tell you that your belief is wrong. I'm just going to tell you mine is right for me. Get the for me thing. I don't see anybody as better than the next. Okay. But when I watch people that are supposedly businessmen and they do things that are absolutely backwards and dumber than a fence post, okay, I really have to question the idea of leadership. Right? When you're talking to people, speak as clearly as you can. If possible, speak in their language. And absolutely, if you're going to another country, learn at least the basics of their language. Okay, now I speak just enough French and just enough Spanish to get away with things. Okay, for instance, somebody starts talking to me in French, I'll look at them and say, "Je ne sais pas parler français." In French, that means I don't speak French. Or I'll say, "Yo no hablo español." In Spanish, which is close enough to Portuguese to get away with, for me to say, I don't speak Spanish. Okay. I don't know the rest of it. I know little bits and pieces, but I'm not functional in it. Okay. But treat everyone you meet with the respect you desire to be treated with. If you don't, people will shun you. They will hide from you, and they will make all sorts of really not polite comments. Uh-oh. I keep leaving my thing there. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I try and keep my water bottle handy. As a matter of fact, what the heck did I do with it? There it is. I do find I run out of the liquid that I require. one of the biggest things I will tell you where it comes to your attitude, okay, to your behavior, that is your reputation. You can be dressed to the nines, be physically fit as a fiddle, and open your mouth and completely ruin it. Okay. Right? There's an old saying. There's an old saying that goes, it is better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Storm goes, if I've already been insulted in their native tongue, I'd reply that I don't speak. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Storm goes, if I've already been insulted in their native tongue, I reply that I don't speak it with a long drawn out. And I'm being problem with a bunch of people, and they were trying to pick on me and what have you. I had me an ad all the time. These guys would have been probably 10 years younger than me. And I looked at them and I don't feel a battle of wit with completely unarmed opponent. And he looked, kid, you not, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. What do you mean? Well, his buddies picked up on it and just lost it. Because I simply look at it this way. There are times when sarcasm comes in real handy. As I wasn't being sarcastic. But they do say I myself and we're back. Spike Fairy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, let's see. Eyesight's starting to fold up on me. Now, one of the things that and I'm just going to put this out there because I'm seeing this go through the chat room. Something that I'm going to end up running into a stank with sooner or later, I'm sure of it, is every now and again, we get a problem child in here. Okay, now the problem children find out the hard way they're problem children. I do not give recognition to problem children, aside from having them gotten rid of. It's the same rule that I have where it comes, this neat little problem of the front page news. Most people that break the law do it for one of two reasons. Well, one of three, really. One of the big ones is to get attention. Now, in my opinion, putting them on the front page is giving them that attention. This is why I don't spend a lot of time on individuals that are problem children. I don't have a use for problem children, and well, I do, but I find what I found out was no matter how you slice them, the cops still complain if you use them for shingles. You know, one of the things, what have we got here? You know, one of the things that I have found is the way you treat people. And again, this is a prime example when we have problem children in the chat room. Okay, that is the image. Okay, and I will tell you, a dipstick by any other name is still a dipstick. Okay, I mean, Shakespeare put it this way. He looked at it and goes, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So, on a polite note, an absolute gem of a person, no matter what name they go by, is still going to be a gem of a person. Okay? And I would rather surround myself with decent people, whether they're quiet or not, doesn't matter to me. Okay? I used to be extremely reclusive. I'm now starting to get out and cope with things a little better. Today I was out for 4 hours, and it only took me an hour nap to recover. You know, the neat little issue is, from my standpoint, and I don't make any bones about it. You know, like I've told people, I am not known for being subtle. I'm not known for being politically correct. You know, do I intentionally upset anybody? No, it just comes naturally. But again, the way you treat people is the way people are going to recognize you. And yes, I make my own mistakes. This is why I've told people for years. Okay. You know, I've said the same thing for people for years. I make every single person I meet happy. In my eyes, I make most people happy by leaving. I make some people happy by arriving. Okay. Now, I have seriously concerned myself. Okay. I have seriously concerned myself, considered the option of just pulling the plug on the whole stream. Not because I don't figure the message of working together, we can make this world a better place, but because of the fact that I get inundated with so much lack of effort or direct effort in the world or in the world at large towards creating ostracization. I think that's the word. Definitely poorly pronounced. Okay. One of the big things that I always look at is this. The way you treat people. When I go outside, if I'm walking by a worker, like one of the city cleaners, I will thank them for their effort. Or if I see somebody the other day, I was walking by an apartment building. Not my apartment building, just somebody's. And there was a young lass there she was on a walker, but she was out weeding. So I thanked her for putting the effort into it. Not my building, not even really much of my neighborhood. I just happened to be out and about. Of course, she ended up making a minor mistake and she fell down. Now, I first of all asked if she'd like a hand. Okay. She politely turned me down. She said, no, it just takes me a minute to get up. So I waited there, talking to her, until she got back to her feet. Okay. I've had people do the same thing for me when my leg buckles. Okay. The way you treat people is a third aspect of your image, of your reputation, of your ability to lead. All three of these components. The way your physical appearance, okay, as in the state of your body. Are you in good shape? Now, you may be overweight and still have cardio and still have a strong heart, the whole 9 yards. If you're comfortable with that and your health is not suffering, then frankly, you're happy with it, stay put. I'm not the one to talk about it to. Okay. If, on the other hand, your health is causing you a problem and you're relying on medication, and I'm talking about the non-chronic things, like, for instance, if you're on medication for things like your thyroid shot, or maybe you've got an adrenal problem, or whatever, and you're on medication to compensate for it, absolutely, you may well be out of shape. Don't quit the medication until such time as your body is corrected. And I will tell you, I'm a firm believer that most medication can be replaced. Not immediately. Usually it's a bad idea to just cut and drop it. But most of it can be corrected by diet. I'm living proof this is the case. But the physical appearance is one aspect other people will respond to. Your dress code. Okay, the way you carry yourself, as in, are you neat and tidy? Are you wearing a dress shirt? Are you wearing dress pants? Or are you wearing jeans, clothing that has holes in it, or that is hanging loosely? Now I realize different dress styles have evolved. Okay, the way a lot of people dress today, they leave the shirts untucked. Myself, this feels unkempt. So for me, I tuck my shirt in all the time, or most of the time anyway. Okay, at least when I'm going out of the house. But the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, is the second part of how people will assess whether you're decent people. Joseph, thanks so much for sharing your time with me. Oops, little brown dog just came in. Yep. Thanks so much for sharing your time with us there, Joe. Do appreciate it. The thing I'm looking at, okay. Oh, gee. Well, I'll say thank you, Storm. I didn't actually catch what went on, but I saw where it was going. But this is what I was saying, guys. I've got, Storm and LA have total autonomy to deal with it first. Yeah, Dogface, I honestly have no intention of ending it now. Okay. But I have gone through my periods. That sounds really bad, but take it for what it was. The reality of it is that I'm not one to apologize if I don't feel things are right. Okay. The fact of the matter is this. If I go into somebody else's house, I will operate as best I can by their rules. This said, unless I'm really mad, I'm not about to swear in somebody's presence. Unless, even if that's their normal way of speaking. I just don't do it. But that's my code. Okay, and again, this is a thing with the way you treat people is going to be remembered. Now, from what I see here, Spike Fairy apparently was saying something that was very rude, which I don't mind. I don't care what it was. I do my best to be polite to people, to treat people the way I desire to be treated. And thankfully, Storm, LA, and I have known each other long enough. They know what that boundary is. And I really don't worry about their end. I have been known to look at the numbers. Like, we've got 5 people watching right now. And there are times when I look at it going, that's not enough to make a dent. And it really isn't. But like my other half keeps telling me, she keeps reminding me that the people that are ready to hear are going to come. It just may take a while. Okay, and this is why I say, if you know people that are at a point where they're ready to shift gears and help and take the steps to correct their own life, then absolutely invite them along. Okay. I certainly don't hold, primarily because I don't do it anyway, but a secondary point, I don't hold the person that brought somebody in responsible for that person's behavior. Okay. Usually I don't know who invited them anyway. And much more importantly, you don't control who you invite in. But maybe, just maybe, we will say something, something will be said either by me or by somebody in the chat room that helps. Now, I have a list here. I've already got the list. I mentioned write it down. Now, I don't expect you to be able to read it. Okay, I don't even know if you can see anything. But I've written a little bit here down in point form of changes I'm making. Okay. And like I said, I am no physical trainer, but I do desire my body to be in better physical shape. One of the things I have to look at. Now, here's the thing. Where are we? There we are. Okay. Now, on this past week, we've been looking at leadership. We've been looking at image. And a critical point from all of your standpoints, these are these components of image, of leadership and image. I'm going to be writing articles on them in more detail over the next few months, okay, to cover these topics. So, of course, I think I've got leadership already started, but I'll be dealing with the impact of how your thinking affects your leadership and your image, how it will change, how that thought will change the way people see you. Okay. How writing affects the development and how vocalization does it. And then we're also going to be looking at the components of leadership, components of image, components of manifestation. We are expanding not as we speak because I'm not writing down, but we are adding things to it as we go along. Uh-oh. Absolutely, Dogface. We're still here for a little bit anyway. 20 minutes, LA. Got it. Next week. Okay, starting on Friday, because I'm gone tomorrow and Thursday. Friday, we will start looking at detailed steps that I use to put my finances in place. I am no financial advisor in terms of I've never been trained. Okay, so I'm just going to be talking about the way that it has worked for me and is working for me and literally dozens, if not hundreds of other people. Okay, that can show you a way, not necessarily sanctioned by bankruptcy trustees. It's likely to avoid them. I've shown people how to take control of their own finances to avoid bankruptcy. Okay. And yes, been there twice. Once because of what I call creative financing. I was very proud of it. I managed to get a credit card of $1,000 limit over $2,000 before they cut it off. Okay. Now what we're doing next week is we are going to concentrate on this little book here. Believing your finances and following your dreams. This contains the little steps necessary to take your money and turn your life around. We're going to talk about different tips that you can use, the issue behind finances, how it affects your life, how affecting your life and getting your finances straightened around will affect the society on the whole, and how that society's outlook on finance and compensation will literally affect and does affect the off-world community. Then we're going to go into creative financing. We're going to show you how to imagine something and break it down into steps so you can have that thing you desire to have. We're going to look at the issue of payments and the way they work, not the way that the bank will tell you, not the way the finance company will tell you, but the way that practical experience on my end and literally hundreds of discussions with other people will tell you on how finances can be utilized. Okay. Now, I'm sure many of you know people that have had problems in this department. I'm one. I tell you to raise your hand if you've had financial problems. Oh, Steve, I absolutely agree with you. My parents were together for 60 years. Never once did I hear them have a fight between them. Not once. Never heard them have an argument. Okay. And yeah. Steve has just said that, Keith, you were raised by good people, by good parents. Many people are dragged up. I know people that every time they open their mouth and just ask the question, were physically backhanded across the room. And I mean, this is not the way to raise people. And this said, it's that message that has to come out. And we're moving into a more practical term where we can actually take this issue, take these issues and go, okay, you may have been raised this way. How you were raised to this point doesn't make a lot of difference. I mean, it matters you've developed habits. Okay. I'm not going to hold them against you. I'm not here to be judge or executioner. And rest assured that's probably a good thing. But when you look at, again, finances don't make the person, but how you treat people around finances is part of that image. And this is why, as requested, we're going to be dealing with all kinds of things on that end. Yep, Storm goes, there's a difference between raising a child and raising a child. Raising as in rearing, as in bringing up, as in educating, and raising as in burning to the ground. There absolutely is. And there was a time, not this lifetime, where I used to raise people for their beliefs. Literally, I'd tie them to a stake, I'd have somebody tie them to a stake, I'd barbecue them. Okay, without the barbecue sauce. And I was good at it. I was very good. I was proud to be very good when I was the inquisitor during the Spanish Inquisition. I knew how to make things last. I'm taking all of these memories and going, yes, I know now looking at them, they were bad ideas. Okay, but I know that was bad. So let's show you different ways that work better. Okay, not the least of which, when I was a slave owner back in 1760 in southern Louisiana, I owned 3 plantations. Okay, not once did I beat my slaves. Not once. As a matter of fact, I remember coming home one day and one of my workers was beating the heck out of a slave. So I stopped him, cut the slave down, had the slave taken into the healers of his people, okay, because they trusted them better. And I had the guy that was beating the heck out of my slave. I had him strung up, and I personally beat the daylights out of him. And all I told him was, nobody abuses my property. Now, the reality is, in today's world, we're not allowed to do that. In this chat room, we've got very specific rules. And they're all listed and they're easy to understand, I think. The reality of it is, in today's world, I've got very specific rules. Thankfully, I have LA and Storm sitting in the sidelines there going, hey, this is a problem. We're removing it. That's why I've got them there. Okay. I had a buddy. I knew a chap one day. They grew up on a farm out in the middle of nowhere, and one of their young kids showed up, and the father looks at her and gave her a direction. She goes, "You can't tell me to do that." She was 14, 15. She goes, "You can't tell me to do that. I know my rights. I have rights. I know what I'm allowed. I'm going to call social services on you." And the father looks at her and goes, "Yeah, you do that. Here's the phone. I'm an adult. I know you call social services. I know I'm going to get in trouble. I also know you call social services. It's going to take them 20 minutes to get here. So therefore, as an adult, I know, and this is not the right way of doing it, but this is what he did. He goes, therefore, as an adult, I know I've got 20 minutes to beat the living daylights out of you and make absolutely certain social services has a reason to be mad at me." The kid climbed up and didn't say another word, went and did what she was asked. Now, I do not agree with the concept of threat. Okay. I'm much fonder of promises, but I don't promise anybody anything, except I won't lie to you to make you feel better. The reality of it is, from my standpoint, it boils down to this. Okay. This whole chat room, my intention for this chat room, and by expansion, by extrapolation, the world at large, is for people to stop concentrating on beating the heck out of each other, mentally, physically, verbally, doesn't matter. Okay, knock it off. Start focusing on the positive similar and positive connections. That's the important part. This is the message I came back again. And like I said, I've been here multiple lifetimes with the same message. Essentially, it boils down to very simply, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Be nice to each other. It's that simple. Now, several times I've been here. I was here trying to tell the people in the Senate in my Roman times, trying to tell the Senate the same thing. Quit treating people so garbage-like. It's not going to work. They didn't listen. And it wasn't they didn't listen to me. They didn't listen to anybody that told them. Net result, the Roman Empire collapsed. Okay, you guys are on the same standing at this point. Okay, now I tried telling people this in Rome. You go back further, I tried telling it to them in Egypt, tried telling it to them in Sodom and Gomorrah. Whether you believe in Sodom and Gomorrah, call it a different name, don't care. Okay, doesn't matter to me. I'm not here to prove much of anything, except if you use the tools I personally use that have worked for me to turn my life around, I can assure you, if you aren't doing it and your life isn't working, following these tools may well open the door and make your life a little better. But that's up to you. Okay. That's literally one of these things you've got to look at. And the way you treat people, no matter what station you have in life, no matter how good you're dressed, no matter how much stuff you own, okay, you are looking at a very simple situation. Where are we here? Dogface goes, on a trip once, I thought I was an Asian rice farmer. In my past life, it wasn't very glamorous, but the sun was warm. Absolutely. I remember being a fisherman in Northern Ireland. Again, not a very glamorous lifetime. Very few people have glamorous paths. And I'll tell you, there's only one, there's only one Anne Boleyn. There's only one King Henry VIII, not 1500. Now, with that in mind, starting on Friday, we are literally going to look at the theory and practical implementation of financial techniques that have been tested by common people, not by multimillionaires, although they work for them as well. Okay, but for common people, much like many of you that may well be struggling day to day, we're going to deal with that head on, starting Friday, running until next Tuesday. Okay, that being said, we are reaching the end of our time. So I will be back again on Friday. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.